EU High Representative warns against Lebanon being dragged into conflict. The US Secretary of State visits Turkey on an urgent tour as fears mount that Gaza's war will explode into a broader conflict.
The death toll from earthquakes in western Japan has risen to 126, with over 200 people still unaccounted for.
EU top diplomat Josep Borrell warned against the conflict in Gaza spilling over into Lebanon on Saturday. Speaking from Beirut alongside Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati, Borrell said it's absolutely necessary to avoid Lebanon being dragged into a regional conflict, adding that already thousands of civilians have been displaced in Lebanon.
And I think that the war can be prevented.
أعتقد بأنه يمكن تجنب الحرب
has to be avoided,
ويجب أن نتجنبها.
And diplomacy can prevail to look for a better solution. It is imperative to avoid a regional escalation in the Middle East. It's absolutely necessary to avoid Lebanon being dragged into a regional conflict.
Borrell's comments came as Lebanon's Hezbollah militia fired dozens of rockets at northern Israel on Saturday, warning that the barrage was its initial response to the targeted killing, presumably by Israel, of a top leader from the allied Hamas group. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken kicked off his latest urgent Middle East diplomatic mission in Turkey on Saturday, as fears mount that Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza may explode into a broader conflict. Blinken met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan to discuss topics such as the ongoing carnage in Gaza, Turkey's ratification of Sweden's NATO bid, and US approval for the sale of F-16 fighter jets to Turkey. Later on, Blinken also made a brief visit to Greece, and next steps of his trip include Israel and the West Bank. Simultaneously, dozens of demonstrators gathered in Istanbul on Saturday to protest Blinken's visit to Turkey. The protest, organized by the Socialist and Nationalist Vatan Party, also called on Turkey to cut ties with NATO.
Aftershocks threatened to bury more homes and block roads crucial for relief shipments following the earthquake that rattled Japan's western coastline this past week. On Saturday, the death toll rose to 126, with more than 200 people still unaccounted for. Ojima City in the centre of Japan recorded the highest number of deaths, with 69, followed by nearby Suzu with 38. More than 500 people have also been hurt, with at least 27 seriously injured. Officials warned that roads could collapse completely following the increased rain and snow expected overnight and on Sunday. Transport links have already been weakened from the dozens of earthquakes that continue to shake the area. According to the Yomiuri newspaper, there have been more than 100 landslides in the area, and some are blocking lifeline roads.
Christians around the world have celebrated Epiphany. Pope Francis held the annual Mass on Saturday, addressing some 6,000 people in St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. The Holy Day marks the official end of the Christmas season, but takes place on different days depending on the country. It is commonly referred to as the Feast of the Three Kings or Magi. In Romania, priests blessed the water and held Mass, but celebrations differ throughout the country, with girls putting basil under their pillow to dream of their future husband, and boys swimming in a race to grab a cross thrown by the priest into the water. In Spain, the night of the 5th is the most important. In Madrid, thousands attended the traditional Three Kings to celebrate the arrival of the three wise men. They witnessed 1,500 people parade on 14 different floats, whilst 1,200 kilos of sweets were distributed to the crowd.